Hello, my name is Hope Redhead, and today we'll be discussing navigating ethical complexities in wastewater surveillance. So today we'll be highlighting the challenges of balancing public health benefits and individual privacy concerns in wastewater surveillance. So this is our agenda for today. We'll be discussing these five major topics, starting off with what is wastewater surveillance? So what is wastewater surveillance? In this context, it is a diverse blend of substances that find their way into our drains, including soap, food, pharmaceuticals, toilet paper, and even human waste. So wastewater is cool because it can hold clues about how healthy a community is and can be used as a strategy to monitor diseases and early detection for public health trends on a global scale. So this is just an example of what actually can be considered wastewater coming from an individual's home. So what is wastewater surveillance? Wastewater surveillance involves analyzing sewage for indicators like pathogens, drugs, or biomarkers. By studying these indicators, it provides insight into a population's health, drug use, or exposure to pollutants. So during COVID-19, for example, wastewater surveillance has been used to detect the presence of the virus in communities and serving as an early warning system. So playing into that early warning system, this is the method of how scientists use the wastewater to find COVID-19. So we took samples from a wastewater treatment plant, put them through some lab testing, and basically concentrated the virus down, extracted the RNA, and did that good old quantitative PCR. So that is where the PCR testing actually comes from. Is kind of figuring out how many RNA proteins from the COVID virus is in each specific like small vial. So something cool I wanted to highlight was UW's personal kind of play in wastewater surveillance, especially regarding COVID-19. So on UW's campus, we took it from a macro scale to a micro scale. So instead of doing wastewater treatment plant testing, we actually started looking at our own personal sewage system and taking samples from there. So this diagram here, I just wanted to show you the benefits of wastewater treatment. So the red circles are the cases that were kind of self-reported. So that's when you go to the doctor and we take cases that way. And the blue um, is actually the predicted spikes and kind of dips in COVID-19 cases. So it's a super, super valuable technology. However, there's some ethical dilemmas. So regarding an NIH study, there are five major concerns. The first one being privacy concerns with wastewater surveillance. The data, it can be traced back to individuals or specific groups, which raises huge privacy concerns. The lack of individual consent. With the nature of wastewater data collection, it does not allow for individual consent. Um, with the potential for stigmatization, so especially, with UW doing it on school or maybe in prisons, there's a potential for to stigmatize certain communities or group based on the data collected. The data and ownership. So right now, defining ownership of wastewater data is super unclear, which is raising huge ethical questions. And lastly is this idea of function creep in future-oriented applications. So right now, it's used for good, like we're using it for COVID-19 detection. But in the future, we have no idea where this technology might go and kind of what the purpose might shift over time. So talking about the stakeholders, there's three main stakeholders that I'd like to talk about today. The first one being public authorities. So with this one, these are professionals that use this wastewater surveillance data for disease surveillance. So they're really trying to help the early detection by monitoring public health within the community. So their interest is timely and accurate disease surveillance. The second one is governing bodies. So they're responsible for implementing and regulating these surveillance programs. They play a crucial role in shaping policies, ensuring compliance, and balancing public health priorities with ethical considerations. And the last one is the general public. I think that one's pretty self-explanatory in the sense that like we don't want our personal data being kind of just passed around. So there needs to be a lot of transparency and, you know, yeah. So then what about the alternative course of action? So there's three major courses of action that I would personally take. There is maximized data collection, and there is limited data collection and consent, and then there is complete data anonymization. Each three are super valid. However, with my personal recommendation, um, kind of drawing to the pros and cons of each one. So the maximized data collection, so its pros are super proactive for surveillance and public health benefits, but there's huge privacy concerns and potential for misuse. The limited data collection with consent, so it safeguards the privacy part. It's definitely a public trust, but it reduces the data accuracy and logistical challenges with it. There's logistical challenges with it. And then lastly, there's complete data anonymization. So this is enhancing privacy protection, compliance with regulation, but it reduces the surveillance accuracy, and then the ethical efficacy trade-off is pretty poor. So which solution do I recommend? So each, like, there's no correct answer, and that's why I kind of displayed it as a bit of a pie chart, because you need each there's no one right solution, but the sweet spot is definitely implementing strict protocols for data protection, obtaining consent when feasible, and keeping the data completely anonymous to to balance the benefits, sorry, and then the ethical consideration. So my personal recommendation is to do a combination of basically all three of the recommendations. Yeah, it's just basically trying to find a common ground where the public interest is there, but we're not overstepping, yet there's accuracy and there's regulations. So yeah, that is my presentation on wastewater surveillance. Is there any questions? And here are my references. Thank you.